So this is Arkveld. Well, chained Arkveld. They're a silly little guy with insane hitboxes. We're going to talk about their wound counter, the gameplay, and where I think they're headed in the future. But first, overall, Arkveld as they are right now is kind of like a 7.5 out of 10. Their sound design is something to be desired. Like, listen to this.
We made this one a total fabrication.
Actually, that was for red clay pot lovers ASMR. Here's what it actually sounds like.
We're not so different, you and I.
Now, this is Arkveld's roar.
Yes, it was.
But all I hear is... Look, I couldn't find a perfect match to the sound, and I can't just Google truck horn sounds all day. It's not bad, it's just a little funky. Arkveld's visual design is pretty good. As with any monster with glowing particle effects, nighttime is where they shine. The glow from their chains, whether it's the red from a big attack or the light purple, makes this fight feel much more dramatic. In daytime, they feel way more washed out and less intimidating. They look cool in game, but the render version I always see online reminds me of this thing. Apsel. It's called an Apsel. Also, hey, I know we got mounts now in Monster Hunter, but don't be like this guy who spent the entire time auto-attacking on his mount.
Yo, is our Insect Glaive guy actually doing mounted combat right now? He's not getting off the stick.
Oh, yes he is. You do significantly less damage and it just looks ridiculous. This guy spent more time getting up and searching for his mount than they ever did just attacking Arkveld. Why is Drift telling players how to play the game? I paid for it, so I'm gonna play the game how I want to. Listen, I'm just trying to help. There's other games out there if that's your thing. But enough of all that, let's get into brass tacks. Wound counters. Now it may shock you to hear this, but these counters come after large attacks, which seem to be a reoccurring theme in this game. Now, I've spent a lot of time looking at Arkveld after every attack they do, and I've seen two different openings. The most obvious one being after Arkveld's atomic nuke ability. Usually, you'll aim for the claws or the chains, which will put Arkveld in a knockdown state. The other is after the charged overhead slam. Specifically, this one. They have different versions of this overhead slam, but from what I've seen, this is the only one that showed a viable counter. That being said, I get things wrong at times, and you guys, the commenters, usually provide a few key details that I miss, which I love. The more information, the better. For the overhead slam, this counter window is much shorter than the atomic nuke one. In this clip, I'm here checking to make sure this is the correct slam for the counter, and before you know it, it's gone. So, if you want to capitalize on this counter specifically, you either need to be not targeted by it in the first place, or fast on your feet. As a side note, Arkveld is very vulnerable to offset attacks. If you're someone who's good at timing, the difficulty of this monster will drop a good amount if you play a weapon with an offset.
Prank him, John. You already know.
So, let's get into actual gameplay. Arkveld is punishing. Being the flagship monster of Wilds, it's kind of their job. The most important piece of information hunters have to understand, and I'm glad we get a taste of it before the game is even released. Getting up immediately after a knockdown is not always the best option. Staying on the ground makes you invincible, and Arkveld has a nasty little combo that will punish you if you're not prepared. Arkveld has a rising upswing with their wing, and this attack will usually place Arkveld behind you. They will then follow up with a chain smash attack. If you got hit by the first attack, you now have to swing your camera behind you to see where the next attack is coming. So you have three options. Stay on the ground, which will leave you invincible. You can get up and pray you dodge the right way, or cart. This is actually my favorite attack from Arkveld. The beginning of this combo feels amazing. Dude, that move, that move, again, he's not targeting me. It's just he throws it back so hard, like he's in a twerk contest,
and it hits me.
Yep.
Why does he throw it back so hard?
And I think this illustrates perfectly why Arkveld feels a bit rough. Lots of monsters with wings usually have some kind of attack that utilizes said wings. We've seen it already from Raydal. The difference is, these chains have some big reach to them. I've had countless deaths from being behind Arkveld, and he does this same attack. You really have to respect the reach these two chains provide.
When y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.
And at this point in time, it feels like the safest spot to fight Arkveld is directly in front of his face. Being to the left or to the right opens you up for less options to avoid those chains. Most moves are extremely avoidable if you're in front of Arkveld and usually dodge forward. Like most bosses in the world of video games, if something glows, you attack it. When Arkveld enrages and their chains glow, doing enough damage will cause them to close, and lead to a knockdown. Managing to close both chains will put Arkveld back in their normal state, where attacks are less deadly and have less radius. Like any game, big DPS leads to easier encounters. If you play passive against Arkveld, you'll have to dodge and weave more since their enrage will last longer. Arkveld also has a grapple move. The best way to deal with this is acknowledging immediately that you're in the pinned animation, and proceed to spam the knife attack. As long as you react quickly enough, the knife attacks will free you from the pin. But we have to talk about this tail attack. It might be one of the most frustrating parts of the fight. It's well telegraphed, but the hitboxes are abnormal. I've run into this tail after the attack has gone through and still taken damage. I've also been directly in front of Arkveld and still managed to get hit by its tail attack that's targeting someone else. I can cope and accept getting hit by the tail by running into it afterwards, but getting hit from the front is There also seems to be, whether you can call it a bug or a skill issue, but taking damage from these chains is extremely dangerous. The hitboxes during some attacks will hit twice, as if they're dragging your body along for the attack. I've had a few deaths on the beta where my Divine Blessing would proc multiple times from one attack, and it just rips through my health pool. Whether a bug or not, this just puts more emphasis on the danger these chains provide, and I strongly recommend going into this fight with Divine Blessing. Now, with that said, fighting Arkveld is very fun. Regardless of the psychic damage the clay pots and the truck horn does to me, Arkveld is a great monster. I'm hopeful for the future because, for me, it definitely seems like we're going to get a different version of Arkveld. Everything leading up to this beta has always shown Arkveld's name as Arkveld, but in the quest option in the beta, they're classified as Chained Arkveld. Obviously not groundbreaking, as most monsters in Monster Hunter get some kind of variations to them, but the groundwork is there for an amazing fight. Arkveld is already a difficult fight. A faster and stronger version with some new moves seems like it's going to be a great challenge for future hunters. If you haven't checked out the open beta, make sure you do so. Another one will come around next weekend as well if you manage to miss this one. Let me know how you felt about Arkveld in the comments. Was it too hard? Too easy? But thanks to you for watching, thanks to the Patreon, and I'll see you later.